Hey everybody, welcome in. It is NFL Week 1 picks and predictions time. I, of course, am Matt Verderame here on the Stacking the Box podcast. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. And if you haven't subscribed on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, please go right ahead and do that now. Wanted to get into the games here. It is Thursday. It is time for the NFL season kickoff and get rolling. The first game of the week, of course, first game of the season, the Bills at the Rams. Everybody excited for the Rams to unveil their Super Bowl 56 banner. And everybody's excited to see the Buffalo Bills, who have become the overwhelming favorites to win Super Bowl 57. So, look, start out looking at the game. I love the Rams in the matchup sense in this game. I think Aaron Donald can get pressure inside. Of course, he can do that most weeks. The Bills are not particularly strong on the inside of their interior line. Might be one of the very, very few weaknesses they have. They're also without Tre'Davious White, and you wonder who's going to cover Cooper Kupp, who's going to cover Allen Robinson. I like the rookie Elam. I think he's going to be a good player, but can he handle it right off the bat? It's a big ask and a big spot. That all said, I think the Bills are the better team. Now, the line's 2.5 in most books. I like the Bills to win, but the Rams to cover. I think it's a very, very close game. Something like 30-28, 31-29. I think the Bills are the slightly better team. I'm worried that the Rams have lost something on the offensive line. I think Von Miller could be the difference in this game, going from the Rams to the Bills. So I'm going to take Buffalo to get to 1-0, although I will say of all the games this week, I think this is legitimately the tightest one to call. I think it could go either way. On Sunday, there are 9 1 o'clock Eastern games, and I'm going to run through them here. Let's start in the AFC North with Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Pittsburgh is getting 6.5 points in a lot of books. Look, I know a lot of people think the Bengals are going to regress. I disagree. I don't see it. Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. They have weapons all over the place. You could argue they have the best receivers in the NFL. They have Joe Mixon, a much improved offensive line. I think the defense is at least okay. It showed that it was getting better and better as the year went on. They were very good in the playoffs. I think the Bengals win and cover. I think they win something like 27-20. I don't think it's a blowout. Pittsburgh is going to keep it close. The Steelers have a very good defense, great coach. The offense has weapons. They just can't block, and I don't trust the quarterback. But I think it's a divisional game. It's week 1. I don't see the Bengals just absolutely pulling away. I think it's a game that's never truly in doubt, but I do think it's at least reasonable. It's a respectable game by Pittsburgh. Staying somewhat in that division, you have Baltimore at the Jets. This game, I do not think is going to be respectable. Look, one thing about the Ravens, when they play bad teams, they kill them. They beat them up. And last year, people forgot about them a little bit. They went 8-9, all the injuries. I love what the Ravens are doing. I think they're going to be box office on defense. I think their offense is going to be great running the ball, as it always is. Passing might be a little bit of a different story. I don't like the receiving core. I love Mark Andrews, of course, first-team All-Pro tight end. I also, with the Jets, I look at them and say, Joe Flacco's winning that game. I don't think so. I don't think there's any way Joe Flacco's winning that game. I see this game being like 34-13. I don't think it's close. I think Baltimore runs and blitzes them out of the building. I like the Ravens quite a bit. And then the last AFC North team also playing in the early slate, Cleveland at Carolina, of course, the Baker Mayfield revenge game. I like Carolina to win, but I got to tell you, this game is going to largely depend on, can Jacoby Brissett do enough to win? Because Cleveland has a better roster, but Carolina, ironically, has the better quarterback. I just feel like in this game, Mayfield's going to make enough plays to win. You have Christian McCaffrey right now, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, an improved offensive line with Ike Ekwonu at tackle. Look, I don't think the Panthers are going to be a team that wins 9-10 games. I also think they will be respectable most weeks. See them win like 7 games, maybe even 8. I like him this week, and it's only a 2.5-point spread. In some places, even 1.5. I think Carolina wins. I don't think it's a blowout. I think it's like a field goal type game, but I like Carolina to win at home, get the job done. In the NFC South, another matchup to watch, the Saints and the Falcons, of course, an age-old rivalry dating back to when both teams entered the NFL in the 60s. This is one game, I normally always say it's a rivalry game. It's a week 1 game. It's going to be close. I think it's going to be closer than it would be, say, week 10. But the Saints have a really good roster. The Falcons, I believe, are going to be picking number 1 overall next year. I think the Saints win this game by a touchdown to 10 points. Okay, and that's being kind. I could easily see this being 17-20 points. But it's week 1. It's on the road. Bad teams don't know they're bad yet. And good teams are still figuring themselves out a little bit. So I like the Saints to win. I think the Saints roster is one of the top 10 in the NFL, maybe even higher than that. The question is going to be Jameis Winston and Dennis Allen. What does that look like as a combo? But I like the Saints. I think they win, and I think they win comfortably. I think it's a backdoor cover for the Falcons, if at all. but I will take the Saints outright, both outright to win and outright to cover. But I think if the Falcons are going to cover, it's going to be, something where it's like 30-19, the Falcons score a garbage time touchdown. All right, staying on the NFC side of things, the Eagles and the Lions. It's a 1 o'clock game. That's actually a really interesting game. The Eagles, in my opinion, have had the best offseason of football. I think the Lions are on the come up. Everybody can see that. A lot of talent all of a sudden on offense in Detroit. The question is Jared Goff, and that question is that defense. I'm picking the upset here. I love Philly. I think Philly's an 11-win team this season. So this isn't a slight on Philadelphia. There's always a week 1 upset or two that you may not see coming. There's a lot of restore the roar pride right now with the Lions. I think the Lions are going to find a way to win this game like 20-19. Hurts has to show me he can improve in the passing game. I believe he will. I believe he will have a very good season. I think the Eagles have a very good shot of winning their division, even winning a playoff game. But I like Detroit in this spot. If it was in Philly, I'd take Philly going away. I think the Lions play with some emotion. I think they find a way to win at home in front of a packed house at Ford Field. Another game to keep an eye on in the early window is going to be San Francisco and Chicago. Now, San Francisco, of course, got to come a pretty good distance to play this game, but it's week 1. I'm not that worried about it. It's a battle of young quarterbacks, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. What do you have? I think this game stays close for a while. The problem is I just can't see Chicago scoring. I can't see them scoring enough to cover. I don't know that the Niners are going to light it up. Kittle's banged up. Look, the offensive line's not great in the interior. Lance could be scattershot. I think it's something like 20-9. That's more than enough to cover the touchdown spread. I think the Niners are going to win the game. And by the way, the Eagles were favored by 4 against the Lions. I neglected to mention. But I think the Lions went outright. I think the Niners win and they cover. It's a big line on the road, especially for a team with a quarterback who's starting his 3rd NFL game. But Chicago has no offense. And the Niners have a great defense. I think that's the difference. I think that's the difference. Sorry, my wife with a phone call. New England at Miami. This is a fascinating game. A fascinating game. I do not like New England this year. I don't think they have the talent level. I think Miami has been hyping the crap out of Tua all off season. That kind of alarms me a little bit. Like if you believe in him, then you just believe in him. I think Miami's going to win this game though. They're favored by 3.5. I like them to barely cover, like 24-20. I trust Belichick to give Tua in that offense problems. I trust that defense to at least be decent. I just don't like the weapons in New England. I don't like what's going on with the coaching with Patricia and Judge. I think that's weird. I don't think it's helping anybody except the opposition. I'm not ever going to pick New England to get blown out unless they're playing an elite team on the road. And even then, I have reservations about picking that. But I'm going to go that route. I'm going to go 24-20 Miami. I think they win. Miami's given them fits in the past anyway, so I think it's close. But I do think that the Dolphins find a way to win once more, get themselves to 1-0, and the hype train keeps rolling. In Washington, Jacksonville on the road, of course, picking number 1 overall each of the last 2 years. They will not pick number 1 overall again. I like the hire of Doug Peterson. I like what they did in the offseason. Look, they spent too much money on a lot of guys. I think they overpaid them, but they're still good players, guys like Christian Kirk. I am picking the Jaguars to go on the road and win this game. I don't trust Carson Wentz at all. If you saw Carson Wentz the last time he played, also against Jacksonville, you understand why. I do not believe in him. I like Washington in certain spots, but Chase Young is out. Unfortunately, Robinson right now out after getting shot, thankfully okay, but out right now. Antonio Gibson's been a mess this preseason with the fumbling in camp. I like Jacksonville to go in here and win and set a tone. I think Jacksonville is going to be a 7 or an 8 win team. I think they're better than people think. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a very, very good year compared to what he did last season. I think Doug Peterson is going to be in the running for Coach of the Year. I do not trust Washington. I think they're a 6 or a 7 win team. So give me Jacksonville on the road, my second upset of the week. And then the last game early on, Indy at Houston. The line's all over. I've seen Indy 7. It was 8.5 at one point. I think Indianapolis is going to break the streak it's had of not winning openers. I think they're clearly the better team. I like Matt Ryan here in this offense. I think he upgrades them. But I'm going to take Houston to cover. I don't think Houston wins. It might even be a backdoor cover. I think this score is something like 27-21. Indianapolis is a very good team, but they don't have a team that's just going to pull away from you offensively. They're not built like that. They're not a big play offense. Maybe they can force some turnovers and pull away in that regard. But I like Indy to win by about 6. I think Houston will cover the spread. And as we move into our late games, you had 4 late games and then Sunday and Monday night. New York York at Tennessee, Giants at Titans. I like the Titans to cover. Look, another team in the AFC South that does not have an explosive offense by any means, a worse offense even than Indianapolis's without A.J. Brown. My thing here is I think even without Harold Landry, who's unfortunately out with a torn ACL for the year for Tennessee, I think they're going to get pressure on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones will turn the ball over. And if he turns the ball over, you're talking short fields, you're talking Derrick Henry. I think the Titans are going to win this game by about 10. The 27-17, 24-16, somewhere in that range. Line's 5.5. I think the Titans win. I think they cover. Look, everybody's burying Tennessee, and I'm one of them. I have them going 8, maybe 9 wins this year. I think they win this game. The Giants are bad, and the Giants know they're bad. They're trying to get out from under everything that went on with David Gettleman the last couple of years, all these bad contracts. This is the start of it. It's going to be a painful road. Green Bay at Minnesota, a great game. Green Bay on the road, favored by 1.5 in most books. I think the Packers win and cover. You had Aaron Rodgers all offseason listening to how he's not going to be the same guy. They've lost Devontae Adams. He's a choke artist, all this stuff. I like Minnesota. I think Minnesota is a potential playoff team. I do not think they're going to win the division. It is a first-year head coach in Kevin O'Connell, who I think, by the way, will be an upgrade over Zimmer in time. I do not trust Minnesota's defense. I like that they got Zadarius Smith from Green Bay. I think that closes a gap a little. I don't think it closes it enough. I don't think it's a blowout. I think it's a pretty good game. I think it's like 28-24. I think Minnesota hangs right in there. I will go with the Packers, who, by the way, I think have a top 3 or 5 defense this year. They have 7 first-round picks on that unit. I think they will be very good. I think they will win week 1, although, again, much like the Bills and the Rams, I think this game could go either way, but I'll take the road team again to win. Before we go to Kansas City at Arizona, the Chiefs line opened at 3. It is up to 6. In some books, it's 6.5. You can get it at 5.5, depending where you look. I think Kansas City wins this game. I don't think the Cardinals can stop Kansas City. Look, I don't know what the Cardinals are going to do in this game defensively to slow the Chiefs down. I think the Chiefs are going to have to beat themselves with penalties and turnovers. It's possible. It could happen. I'm not picking it to. I think the Chiefs win and cover. I think it's something like 35-24, 34 maybe to 27. If you want to make it a little closer, either way, Kansas City covers the number. I think Arizona is going to score some points. I don't think they're going to score enough. I think the Chiefs will score as many as they have to win this game. I just don't believe in Arizona's corners. I don't believe they're going to get a ton of pressure against that great Kansas City line without a blitz. And if you blitz Mahomes, historically speaking, you're toast. So I think the Chiefs win that game. I think they win it and they cover. And then finally, the last 425 game Eastern, 325 Central, the Raiders at the Chargers. 3.5 for the Chargers. I take the Raiders to cover, Chargers to win. I think it's a high-scoring game. I love the over on this. I think it's like 34-31. J.C. Jackson may not play. The Raiders do not have a good secondary. I think both teams are going to throw for a ton of yardage. I think the difference might be a strip sack or 2 in this game for the Chargers. They're going to be able to get more pressure, you would think, than the other way around. Both right tackles are a disaster in these games. But the left tackles, look, Slater is fantastic. Miller is good. The difference is inside, okay? The Chargers have a good interior. The Raiders do not. I think that might be a difference. Look for stunts. Look for loops and twists. I think that's how it gets done for the Chargers. I think that may even be how they seal the game. I'll take the Chargers in a high-scoring game. I think it's good. I think it could go either way if the Raiders can find a way to block, maybe even pull it out. It's going to be basically a home game for the Raiders in L.A., but I will take the Chargers by a field goal. Sunday night, Tampa Bay at Dallas. Give me Tampa. Look, I think Dallas is going to be better than some people think. I trust Prescott. I do not trust Mike McCarthy. I think the defense takes a little bit of a step back because Diggs is not going to have 11 interceptions this year. And everybody doubting Tom Brady, do it at your own peril. He is 45 years old. He's had a weird offseason. I'm with you on all counts if you feel that way. He's still Tom Brady. I'm not counting that guy out. Look, I think they're going to struggle with teams that can get pressure up the middle when they play the Packers, the Chiefs. That could be a problem. The Cowboys, most of their pressure coming off the edge. And Brady is so smart and so good, so great. I think they find a way. The number's 2.5. I actually like Dallas, I think, to cover. But I like Tampa in the game overall. And then finally, Monday night, the Russell Wilson revenge game. Denver at Seattle. I'm going to be frank with this. Denver's 6.5-point favorite. I think Denver's going to kill Seattle. 30-13, something like that. I like Seattle's weapons. They don't have a quarterback. It doesn't matter. They don't have a quarterback. The offensive line's not great. The defense isn't good. Like, Seattle's going to be a bottom 5 team this year. So give me Denver. On the road, Russell Wilson gets his revenge up in the Pacific Northwest. I think they win. And that's it for week one. Those are my picks and predictions. Leave yours in the comments. Would love to hear them. Thanks for watching Stacking the Box. You'll see plenty more, including on Sunday morning from 12 to 1 Eastern. Myself and Ian McMillan breaking down all the games, betting, you name it, right here on Stacking the Box.